Well, I mean, we've been in the city 10 years, and I just felt the commitment that Maple Leaf Sports has made, certainly the Fan 590, and that I've made. My family is here, and I felt that, this is home, and this is a place where, we live, and I wanted to give something back any way I can to encourage people in the communications field, to encourage the employees at Maple Leaf Sports Entertainment that, I am a true blue Canadian. And that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm not proud of my American heritage, because I am. I grew up in the United States. I was born in the United States. I'm a son of a decorated United States naval officer, a captain in the U.S. Navy who served in 3 world wars. Well, actually, Vietnam was not a world war, but it cost 50,000 American lives. So when it's all said and done, this is what is my platform, my foundation. And I think it's interesting that the feedback I've received since January 14th has been unbelievable. I still get letters, I still get emails, I still get calls about that day, and it was really a day of celebration, so thank you for asking. And I even answered your question knowing you're wearing a Yankees cap. Jack,
I love you.
Jack is
I love
a Yankees
you.
fan.
I followed them when they were bad, though, so I'm a real fan.
See, Jack followed them when they had Horace Clark.
And they were bad.
Horace Clark, all you have to do is Wikipedia or Google Horace Clark, with all due respect.
He's got the big glasses.
But if the Yankees went 0-162, except now Joe Girardi, who's a good friend of mine, is the manager. So if they win it, I can't complain, because I love Joe Girardi. But I'm just not a Yankee fan.
Jack, you graduated with a master's in communications, and we're kind of just college kids with diplomas. How much does education matter in the business?
Well, it matters a whole lot. And as I said before, I never thought I'd use it, because all I ever wanted to do was coach. And when I left coaching, I had a year left on my coaching contract, and in my mind, I wanted to take a year off and then get right back in again. And here I am 10 years later still doing this. So it's worked out beautifully. But, it's interesting. When I coached, I had my own TV show, my own radio show, so I was getting training with that. I was dealing with the media on a day-to-day basis. We were on TV quite a bit. So it was a natural learning tool that I had right at my disposal that I probably never realized it was there. But actually, when I got into this, all the things that I learned in those 2 years going for my master's in communications came back to me. So absolutely, your education is your foundation. When I coached, one of my biggest things I used to talk about when I would recruit a young man was the next 4 years of your life affect how you do the next 40. And to have that education, that's something people can't take away from you. And I think that it's such a great opportunity that you have here at Centennial. This is a springboard. This is a foundation by which you can do some great things from here. And it all comes down. And I say this all the time. You could go to Harvard or Yale or U of T or any of the great schools out there, and quite frankly, it doesn't matter. When it's all said and done, that might get you the first job, and I think, Chuck, you'll agree with this. That might get you the first job, but after that, you're on your own. It's what you're all about. And whether you went to Centennial or you went to U of T or you went to Harvard, once you're out there working, it's what you got in you. So don't ever feel like because you didn't go to Harvard, you can't do as well. You could do actually better than that, because you're probably going to be a lot hungrier than that person from Harvard.
The foundation that I grew up in my world, so to speak, while Jack was with coaches, my world was broadcasting at a very early age, and I was able to attain an internship at NBC for 2 summers and saw some very good reporters. And then my first job was at Cairo Radio back home in Seattle, Washington. My first job paid $135 a week. And I was enrolled in graduate school at the University of Washington, actually in sociology, because I double majored in sociology and communications. And so in my first quarter of grad school, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I get this call saying, hey, by the way, your resume has come up to the top of the pile, and we have an opening to be the third man on a 2-man staff which at the time was a 3-man and a 2-man.
Let me figure this out.
I
Yeah.
don't think about that one. But we have an opening, but we'd like you to come in. So I came in. I'll never forget his. The general manager's name was Jack Adamson, and he had blue hair. He had the silver blue hair, that one would expect when your little old grandmother goes into the salon and comes out and says, "How do you like it?" But anyway, he had silver blue hair, and the whole time during the interview, he could have said, "We're going to pay you $3 million." I'm fixated on his. I've never seen a man with blue silver hair. Anyway, so I take this job, and so I did everything, and there are some of the things that I liked. There are a lot of things I didn't like, but you have to pay your dues. And so if you think you're going to be leaving school and all of a sudden you're going to wind up on TSN, Raps TV, the Leafs, the Raps, the Blue Jays, that's not how it works. You got to have to pay your dues. Having said that, I want to just give a couple quick tips. I happen to be very, very fortunate later in my world to be the sports director at WGN in Chicago, bless you, and sports director at WJR in Detroit. Two of the biggest 50,000 watt stations in the United States. I was given an incredible amount of responsibility from my program director, who gave me that trust based on experience, intelligence, and hopefully some people skills. When I would interview for a job regarding people coming in for a position, but also internships, the thing that I want to stress is you don't have a second chance to make a first impression. So when Jack is talking about a letter, you don't write a letter to whom it may concern. You pick up the phone, you find out who the sports director is of the station, or the human resource director, or the general manager, or the program director you're going to interview. And all of a sudden you say, "Dear Mr. Armstrong," and then you put together a grammatically correct letter. No typographical errors, no spelling words that are incorrect. You sign it. You put it in an envelope. You type an envelope. You don't write the envelope. All of these things go into a first impression. Then when you come in for an interview, I'm not expecting an Armani suit, but I do expect you to be at least groomed enough to say this is going to be a person that's going to represent our organization. It doesn't matter if you're orange, white, purple, green, black, teal, to use a fashionable color of the 90s. It doesn't matter. The thing I want to see is, how do you come across? How serious are you about getting involved? Are you willing to make sacrifices? And at the end of the day, is this somebody I can send to cover a press conference and be proud of the fact that this individual is going out to cover a Blue Jays press conference if I can't make it? That, to me, is what it's all about.
Not because you went to Harvard or Centennial
No.
College, quite frankly.
Yeah, once you get your foot in the door, as Jack mentioned, I don't really care whether you went to Seneca, Harvard, Centennial, University of Washington, University of Michigan, whatever. The important thing is what type of job you're going to do, because I see it all the time where some kids will come in and say, "Well, my dad's going to help me get this job." Well, I think that's great. You know what? If you can get your way into a job, but you know what? After that, it's up to you, because then all bets are off.